There's one thing holding you back from getting the money you want, getting the body you want, even getting the lifestyle that you want. And that thing is called your limiting beliefs. The beliefs that you have are very limited, they're very minute, and they do not allow you to go after different things, to put yourself in positions to achieve different things. So, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about limiting beliefs, how to get rid of them, how to be aware of them, and essentially how to use them to get the life that you want. So, in this video, we're about to get started. First, you need to understand limiting beliefs come from a lack of clarity. You don't understand that thing. So when you say, I can't make more money, all men are horrible, I can't get a better body, it's just because you don't have clarity on that thing. And the first thing I tell people when it comes to clarity is starting. It's not a matter of you can't do something. Life is just about not knowing how to do something. But the problem is you become so used to it and immersed into not doing that thing, not being a part of those communities, not having that body, that you just assume that that thing can never be achievable for you. A good idea of this is when I was in high school, we had to pass swim class to graduate. And after class, like the last like 15 minutes, they would allow us to swim and everything, right? Just like amongst ourselves. Now there was a line in the middle of the pool because one pool was the deep end and one pool was more of the shallow end. And the line, the kids that couldn't really swim were on the shallow end. The kids that could swim were on the deep end. The deep end, they had like a whole bunch of, they had like balls and stuff to play with. They had the diving board. They had all this other stuff. But mind you, the kids who were on the shallow end, they made it fun as well. But if you think about it, that was just the limit. It was a limit. Hey, you can't go over there because you're not ready for that. Hey, you can't go over there because that's dangerous for you. You might drown. So we're going to keep you over here in a safe place. And instead of those kids having the mindset of, you know what, I want to get over to the other side. I don't have the belief that I can't swim. I don't have the belief that I can't learn. Most of the kids who started class the beginning of the semester on the shallow end, by the end of class stayed on the shallow end. Why? Because that limiting belief became so ingrained in them that they told themselves that, you know what, this is okay being over here. It's not that bad. I know we can't dive off the diving board. I know we don't have that much space. I know we can't, all these things. Because let's just be honest, the deep side had everything the shallow side had plus more. And that's what you do to yourself. You convince yourself, oh, it's okay. I don't need that body. It's not that serious. Oh, it's okay. I don't need that bank account. It's okay. My mom struggled. My grandmother struggled. Everybody I know went through this. That's okay. You're on the shallow end. You're convincing yourself, even though you see the deep end. You see people enjoying life. You see people not struggling. And it's not to compare yourself necessarily to them, but it's to compare yourself to the life that you want to have. And you know that it's possible. But like a lot of those kids, they started the semester on the shallow end and they ended the semester on the shallow end. A lot of people start their life with low class neighborhoods. They start their life with people who did not graduate college. They start their life with people who did not make more than a certain amount of money, who people that didn't eat healthy. And it's not your fault. That's just a lot of families didn't know about stuff. A lot of families didn't have opportunities, but now you do know. Now you do have the opportunity. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to end your life still on the shallow end, or do you want to attempt to try to get to the deep end so you can have the diving board, you can have the game, you can have fun? You have to make a choice. And that's the idea of a limiting belief. It limits you to think that you can only stay over here when you really have another opportunity. But you're just too scared to take it. And going into a limiting belief, the reason why they're so strong is because every single time something happens to you that's similar to that belief, you convince yourself that that belief is true. So, for example, right, when I first got my license, I believed that I can drive. Possibly because everybody I knew drive, my mom drive. I didn't really know anybody that didn't drive besides my grandma. So driving was just a thing. Now, during this time period, did I make mistakes? Yes. I failed my first driving test, even when I got my license. And I think everybody did this, so I don't want no judgment. But yes, a few times I might have kissed somebody's bumper, accidentally pushing on the gas when I thought I pushed on the brake. Accidentally, it might have happened 1, 2, 3 times. But since I did not have the limiting belief that I can't drive, I kept going. I didn't look at that as, oh, see, this is proof you can't drive. But if I was somebody that had the limiting belief that I cannot drive, every single time those things that happen, like I said, that possibly happen to a lot of people when they're learning how to do something, I would have used that as confirmation that I can't drive. So I want you to think about that. A lot of times too, the confirmation that you have, I can't make more money, I can't go to the gym, I can't, is just growing pains with anything. Now you can walk, you can talk, you can run. But when you were a baby, you stumbled, you fell so many times. You before you could even crawl, you scooted. And that was okay. Like, we have to look at life the way life is. There's growing pains. You're never going to start anything perfect. And a lot of times when it comes to our limiting beliefs, you tried to start a business, it didn't go well. See, as I know I'm not supposed to be a business owner. You tried to, go to the gym and then you missed a week because something happened. See, I knew I couldn't go to the gym. You use these as confirmation to tell you that what is right. But the idea that I want you to understand is there's other, not even the idea, the realism. There's other individuals going through that same exact thing right now. And they're using it as strength, if you will. They're using it as life, honestly. Like, I'm really trying to think of a word, but there's no word to go into it. It's a part of life. There's growing pains, but you're using it as a confirmation. Oh, my last relationship was bad. See, all men are horrible. No, that guy just wasn't good for you. Stop using things as confirmation biases. We want a confirmation at what we're biased on, what we think is true. It's not true that you can't make more money. It's not true that you can't get that degree. It's not true that you can't get your body together. So stop using these little growing pains as ideas of truth, as ideas why you can't do this thing, because they're not. Everybody goes through them. But you start understanding your beliefs when you start looking at how you feel after these growing pains happen. If you're a person that uses them as a propeller to saying, this is why I can't do this thing, see, this is proof I can't do this thing, that's a limiting belief. But if instead you look at it as, this is just a part of it, I'm gonna do better tomorrow, this isn't gonna happen again, this was a mistake, then you're not looking at it no longer as a limiting belief. So you have to also ask yourself and be aware of when you're feeling certain things after you do certain things to figure out where are your limiting beliefs. And the most dangerous thing about limiting beliefs, especially when it comes to the confirmation bias, is because we go so hard for them. You usually go harder for the things that you have limiting beliefs about than the things that you have beliefs about. Crazy enough. And they did a study on this a few years back. One of the studies was with Ukraine, right? When Ukraine was going, well, I think they still are fighting Russia. But when that whole thing first happened, they were asking people, how did they feel about it? Rate the 1 through 10. How do you feel about it? Most of the people who had the highest rating of this is horrible, this is this, right? The strongest belief, when they asked them to point out Ukraine on a map, most of them couldn't really point it out. They were in the area of Ukraine, but they couldn't specifically point out Ukraine. But I thought you feel so strong about this. I thought that this is what's bothering you. I thought that you have all these ideas about what should be going on. Another study. They did a study on individuals who had very strong feelings, sometimes even big advocates for change in the healthcare system, the schools, like education, transportation in America, just, different things going on within the government. And they asked those people that felt so strong about this, right? Oh, this is horrible. This person shouldn't be here. Forget this person. Da, da, da. They asked these people, okay, could you give me a step-by-step breakdown of how we can fix this thing? They couldn't give it to them. But how does that make sense? Because you feel so strongly about this thing. So why is it that you when it comes to knowing this thing, you don't know? It goes back to the first thing. You have no clarity. Usually the things that you feel the strongest about, I cannot do, I cannot get, are usually the things that you do not have clarity on. Because when you do not have clarity, this is you. So this is a wall and this is you trying to get where you're trying to get. Why can't I get there? Why can't I get there? Instead of stopping, saying, you know what? Let me change my framework. Let me change my belief. What if I reframe this thing? And then you go, oh, this way there's a door. That's life. That's how your limits and beliefs work. A lot of times you feel so strong. I cannot make more money, and you will never make more money. I cannot do this thing because you do not have clarity. And a lot of times I try to get people to think about, what do you feel so strongly about that you can't do? What do you feel so strongly about is something that it's just a part of your life. It's just because of where I was raised. This is just because of where, I grew up. This is just because my parents, my family, or my whatever. Those things that feel concrete to you. I always ask individuals, if you can change this thing, what would you do? If you can have a perfect schedule, what would you do? If you could have a perfect way that this thing works out for you, what would it look like? Because it's still work that has to go in. But a lot of times people don't look at it as that. Their idea of perfect is waking up tomorrow and getting a better body. Their idea of perfect is starting a business today and next month selling out. That's unrealistic. Why is it unrealistic? Because you do not have clarity. So to you, that makes sense. To you, after going to the gym for 1 month, you're mad because you're like, I don't really see a difference. But if you understand how body fat works, if you understand how healthy eating works and all this other stuff, then you would be like, okay, I'm making progress. I'm making steps toward something. But it feels a lot of time like your life isn't changing. It feels a lot of time you're doing a whole bunch of nothing because you don't understand the clarity of it. You don't understand. It's like going on a trail, right? If you don't know the ending of the trail, if you don't know the direction of the trail, it's going to feel like you're going on that trail forever. Like, oh, when is this going to stop? Oh, when are we going to get there? But if I give you a map and I say you go here, 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 there, it ends here, then you're going to say, okay, we got 2 miles left. Okay, we're going to go here. You're not going to have that pulling feeling of like, I can't do this. It's so, you know how many people quit right before they get there? Imagine if people had a map on life. Imagine if you could see, if you just do this thing for 2 more months or 3 more months or 2 more years, you would be a millionaire. You would achieve this. A lot of people will do it. But the thing I want you to understand is life doesn't work like that. You're not going to necessarily always have the knowing of how to do something if you don't give yourself the clarity. And then even with that, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, you don't exactly know how this is going to end. But at least now you have the clarity, you have a direction, you have an idea. And so I want people to understand that stop going so hard for so many things that if somebody was to ask you to break it down, how could you make more money if you feel like you can't make no more money? How could you achieve these things that you want to achieve that you feel like if I just got this, my life will be better? You don't even know what that would look like. So why would God, why would the universe, why would anyone even give that thing to you? You wouldn't even know what to do with it. But you're using it as an excuse to not go for the life that you want because it's a limiting belief. And so with this, I want you to start reframing your thoughts, right? Because that's all beliefs are, they're thoughts. And I heard a quote recently or a story recently, and this guy said something to the effect of that feeling that you get after you leave the gym, right? When your heart's racing, and sometimes even when I get in the house, I'd lay on the ground because my heart's racing, it's beating, I feel good, my blood is pumping, like you really can feel it, right? You know that feeling, especially after you do cardio? Imagine if you got that feeling if you were just driving in the car. You would be scared. You would think you're having a heart attack. But why? Because when you get it after the gym, it's good. Oh, because that made sense, right? That's what's supposed to happen after the gym. But if you get it in the car, that's not supposed to happen if you didn't do anything for it. So I want you to reframe certain things so you can get what you want out of them, essentially. Because if you say to yourself, right, you have a bad relationship with a guy, I hate men, all men are horrible, because you had a bad relationship with him, that means going into every situation, moving forward, that's how your framework is going to be. That's how you're going to look at men. So you're never going to fully understand, why did your last relationship not work? Going back to the clarity, a lot of people cannot tell you, why did your last relationship not work? They'll tell you what ended it. Oh, he cheated. Oh, we stopped communicating. Oh, we did. A lot of that stuff is ending things. But there's so many building blocks to how it got there. He cheated. I'm not saying you are a wizard, but you didn't notice he started coming home later. You didn't notice that every time he had his phone next to you, he would move it. You didn't notice. Oh, you did notice those little things, but you let them go by. So then when it came out that he cheated, when it came out that when he started acting different, you didn't acknowledge it. You did it. And then it happened again with another guy. So you get into this pattern. And I know that's a very random analogy, but I feel like a lot of times, and I talk about it in my videos, even platonic relationship with friends, like there's not a one thing that ends the friendship. There's not a one thing that ends a relationship. It's usually a cumulative of things. So if you are the type of individual that keeps going through bad relationships, you need to stop yourself and get clarity on it. Because going back to what I said with the previous topic, if I was to give you the man that you wanted, what kind of man would it be? I want to know down to the job he worked. I want to know down to where he grew up. I want to know. And when I say grow up, it don't got to be a city. It could be like a 2-parent household, whatever. A lot of people can't even tell you that. But I thought you wanted a good man. I thought you were tired of all these men treating you bad and da 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 da. You don't even have clarity on what you want, so of course you're never going to get what you want. So instead of saying, I hate men, I don't like men are horrible, reframe it to say, my last relationship didn't go well because. And then the next relationship, make sure you don't go through that. The next relationship, look out for those things because now you know that's what you don't want. See, a lot of times we deal with the same person in a different face, in a different body, the same situation with just a different mask on because we never get the clarity of why that thing didn't work out for us, why that thing didn't fit us. And so we keep trying again, the wall, again and again and again, instead of going through the door, seeing the other options. There's so much space out there, but you keep going into this little tiny wall because you're not getting clarity. The same thing on making more money. A lot of people convince themselves, I'm broke. I can't make more money. I can't. Reframe that. I don't know how to make more money. I don't have the knowledge. I haven't gained the knowledge yet on how to increase my income because that changes it. When you say, I don't know how to make more money, that's a dead end. I don't know how to make more money. I don't know how to make more money. Oh, okay. But if you say, I don't have the knowledge, okay, now we starting somewhere. Okay. Now you need to gain knowledge in a specific field. Now you need to gain, you get what I'm saying, the understanding of how to do something. Reframe it. Because the only thing that's going to make sense is if you make it make sense. And I know that didn't make sense. It sounded better when it was coming out of my head. I promise y'all it sounds so much better when it's coming out of my head. But I was trying to get the point across of like your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, they don't make sense because to you deep down inside, they don't make sense. Like I said before, you know you're not going to get your dream body in a month. That don't make no sense. You know you're not going to, sell out a business. You know you're not going to graduate in 6 months if it's a 4-year degree. So why do you not live your life like that? Why do you not break the, because it's scary. It's scary to break something down and say, I'm going to have to start living like this. I'm going to have to start being like this. I can't just go to the gym for 1 month to get my dream body. I'm going to have to create a healthy lifestyle. Right? I can't just start a business in a couple weeks and blow up. I'm going to have to become an entrepreneur and think like a business owner. That's the scary part about it. That's where your limited beliefs comes from. A lot of time we're scared we're not going to be able to fit the bill. We're scared we're not going to be able to go to the plate. So we give ourselves these very minute goals that are very unrealistic, that are very unattainable. And then what do? The confirmation bias. See, I didn't get it. See, I didn't achieve it. See, I didn't. But if anybody else was really to break it down to you, we all would agree that made no sense. And you know that too. But you have this limiting belief because of a lot of other things that you can't do this thing because it's because you. It's nothing else besides you. You are the reason why you can't make more money. You are the reason why you can't get your life together. And I'm not saying it's going to take you a short. I don't even know how long it's going to take you. I don't even know how long it's going to take me. I'm on a journey myself. But at the same time, I had to realize I had a lot of limiting beliefs, and that's what got me in positions I was. I recently made a video talking about how I went from being, a 6-figure business owner to working a 9 to 5, and it came from my limiting belief. I had a limiting belief when I grew up that I can't make more money. I had a limiting belief when I grew up it was going to be hard for me to be wealthy. It was going to be hard for me to make more money. And when I did start my business and I was making more money, I kept that limiting belief. And you would think, oh, you're making all this money. You must feel good. You must not have the belief no more. Beliefs don't change because of external things. My belief of not making more money didn't change because I was making more money. Because in my core, I still felt scarcity with money. So in my core, some examples I knew that I still had a limiting belief that came from when I was younger. For example, even when I was making good money, one thing I didn't do was buy Halloween costumes. Because in my mind, coming from a scarcity mindset, I'm like, why would I spend money on something? I'm spending $30, $40, $50 on a costume and I'm not going to wear it again. Instead of reframing it, I'm spending $30, $40, $50 to enjoy the moment, to create an experience. So I never got a Halloween costume. Same thing with Christmas pajamas. I never got Christmas pajamas because I convinced myself, why am I spending money, no matter if it's $10, $15, $20 on some pajamas, and I can only wear them during Christmas time. They're not going to make any sense during the other time. It's a scarcity mindset. Instead of saying, I want to be in the holiday spirit, I want to be. So I want you to understand, just because external things change, it's an internal belief. And so when it came to losing the business, becoming a full-time content creator, it was because I kept trying to chase the thing. I was going into a wall. I figured out after a certain amount of time what I was doing wasn't working anymore. But mind you, I came from that scarcity mindset. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Instead of saying, okay, how can I make more money? How can I make myself more valuable? How can I open up my options? I kept telling myself, you just gotta make more money. So how am I make more money? The only way I know how, because I'm not telling myself to try new things, to do new things. And that I kept going into that wall until it all fizzled out and I had to get a job. And so I want you to understand that's what your limiting belief does to you. It's going to cause everything in your life to fizzle out, even if you achieve that thing. You're going to lose it, unfortunately, because you don't have that belief in your mind. It's something that you have to constantly program in your mind. And I had to realize that for myself. My limiting belief was the reason that I lost everything, because no matter how much money I made, it never was enough. I was still scared that I wasn't going to have it. I was still scared that, and though those were very specific things for me, you have to pay attention to that in your life. What do you have scarcity around? What do you have fear around? What are things you don't want to touch? And a lot of times you see your limits and beliefs, and then you can figure out where they come from. And a place that limiting beliefs come from, oftentimes as we get older, are from others. So yes, of course, there are limiting beliefs from your childhood, your upbringing, but a lot of times it's from others. And there's multiple ways this comes. One, of course, I always say the people that you hang around, right? If the people you hang around make $50,000 a year, I promise you, you're probably never going to make $150,000 a year, because that's too out of the group. That's too different. That's going to make you have to have different conversations. That's going to make you have to go different places. And it's not going to make you feel no longer part of the collective. And it's easy for individuals to be like, oh, that's my friend and this my homegirl and this. That person is keeping you back. And so I want you to understand, you compare yourself to your group. It's nothing wrong with that, but you just need to be aware of who are you comparing yourself to, because they're going to be your cap. They're going to be your ceiling. And if their cap is only making $50,000 a year, their cap is only living in a certain neighborhood, their cap is only going out and having to buy the cheapest drinks, oh baby, that's going to be the rest of your life. So get used to it. Another one too is outside individuals. And there's two ways to look at this. First and foremost, figure out who you're comparing yourself to and figure out if that's the life that you want for yourself. I had to realize some of the girls I was comparing myself to, and I've always had like a business mindset. So I felt like I would oftentimes compare myself to like the Instagram pretty girls, Instagram models who would start businesses. But for me, that didn't make sense for a plethora of reasons. One, because those girls were like Instagram famous, right? They're pretty girls who oftentimes lived in larger cities. I didn't live in a big city. I didn't post on Instagram. So boom, probably gonna be hard for me to do that. And a lot of them had white label products. And this is no shade to anyone, but that's just not what I want for myself. White label products are kind of like the products that you get from like when a girl buys like a whole bunch of lip glosses from AliExpress and then she just puts her logo on it, or she just buys a whole bunch of whatever, it just puts her logo on it. Like she didn't create the product, but she put her logo on it, kind of like white label. And that's what a lot of them did. And I didn't like that, because I wanted for me to create a product, to love a product. And also, I didn't want to create no lip gloss and another girl try to sue me because her lips turning black and blue. And I'm like, oh, she like, what is in here? And I'm emailing people, oh, what is in here? Because I don't know. And that was just me. Wouldn't have full ownership and full, but I realized I was comparing myself to those girls, thinking that I could have the life that they live, did the things that they do. But it didn't make sense for me. Like, that's not the life that I want for myself. That wasn't realistic for me. So also look on who you follow on social media. That's a lot of times who you compare yourself to, whether you realize it or not. Are you following individuals that you feel like the life they have is obtainable? Like if you follow, and I'm no shade, but if you following a rapper baby mom, subconsciously thinking you're trying to get that kind of life, the probability of it is very low. You get what I'm saying? Like, I like my probability to be things that I can do for myself. I can put myself in these places and spaces to have a higher chance of achieving these things. So a lot of times too, that's what gave me a limiting belief, because I believed I can do these things that me personally, I couldn't do. So of course I would never achieve it. So what did it do? Goes back to confirmation bias. I can't do this thing. I can't do this thing. Yeah, because that's just not in line with you. Now I try to follow people and look at individuals whose lives I feel like I can achieve and I like, and it makes sense for me. One person that comes to mind very randomly, I can't think of anybody else, but I know it's others. Grace Beverly. She's a content creator. She's a business owner from the UK. She's around my age. She's around 25, 24. And she has multiple businesses. And one of her businesses, which is crazy, I can't think of the name, is kind of like the American version of, the UK version of Skims. Not the same exact products, but like athleisure wear. And it's a very big brand. I say that to say she owns multiple businesses. She started on social media. Like, that's the dreams and aspirations that I have for myself, because I can see the breakdown of how she got to where she got. I can not copy her, but look at it for inspiration as far as how to get there. And it makes my beliefs actually widen and not limit, because I see how it's possible. Why? Because I have the clarity of how to actually get there. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have to, the people that you're looking up to, you have to ask yourself, do you have clarity of how that person got there? And can you, I guess, mimic it in a way, not necessarily copy them, but do it in a way where, you're trying to follow their footsteps? Or is this something that you possibly can't do? Like, they just got lucky. It just so happened that they lived here and they did. But I try to do things that I have more control over. Another way people compare themselves to others and create limited beliefs, being haters. Telling yourself, oh, well, she grew up in that neighborhood. Well, she has these parents. Well, she, okay. So that means you're never going to do anything with your life, because you didn't grow up in that neighborhood and you didn't have good parents and you didn't come. First and foremost, I think a lot of times we need to understand the luxury of the life that we have. Like, I always say it. The fact that you're watching this video, you have some kind of device to watch it on. There are so many people who don't. Also, there's so many people that will be lucky to be born in the city you were born in, the state, even the country. There's so many people, like, and we could go on all day for day, the tit for tat of, oh, I went through this, oh, I went through that. We could do the trauma dumping. We could do, if that's what you want to do. I don't got time to do that. I don't have time to compare myself to people in the sense of, I can't do this, because yes, some people do have pushes. Some people do have opportunities. But if you always look at your life as being horrible, you're never going to realize the opportunities that you have. If I looked at my life for being horrible, if I looked at my life and being, I would have never created this channel. This channel, the way I speak, my conviction, it's a part of who I am. And some of it did come out of trauma. But if I looked at it like that, I would have never done that thing. So stop looking at situations and different things as, oh, well, this is, if I didn't have this and I didn't have that. Yeah, a lot of people also had less than what you had and did it and started and made it. So stop having this limited belief that you can't get to where you want to get because you weren't born with something and you don't even have something now. You can start now. Since you watched this video, you now can't say, I don't know. You now have the knowledge of a limited belief. Now you're starting to get the understanding. So now you can't live life with a bliss of saying, I didn't know I had limited beliefs. I didn't know there was something holding me back. You do now. So what you gonna do about it? And I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you need to start thinking like the person that you want to become, right? Because to get out of the limiting belief thoughts, you have to switch them with other thoughts. I don't want you to think that you could just be thoughtless and mindless. No. And you have to start thinking when you are doing things, when you are going places, think like the person that you want to become. That's what I had to start doing. And that's what I realized when my life really started changing, is because I started becoming in line with the girl that I wanted, the woman that I wanted to become. I be forgetting I'm like a 24-year-old woman. I be thinking I'm a 24-year-old teenager. Anyways, yeah, I had to start thinking like the woman that I wanted to become. So even going into that, a great thing that's helped me, and I haven't talked about it on my channel for a little while, but life scripting. Disclaimer, if you watch my videos and you do not have a journal yet, get on your Zoom, baby. Get on your Zoom. You need a journal, okay? You need a journal. They're great. Anyways, I do something in my journal called life scripting. And it's when I write a journal prompt and I date it as well as someone in the future. It could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, it could be 2 months, it could be 2 years. And I write out as if I've had that day. You need to start becoming specific on the thoughts that you need to have, the person that you want to become. What time am I waking up? What time am I go to sleep? What am I eating? What kind of car am I driving? What neighborhood am I living in? Am I pregnant? Do I got kids? Do I got a man? What does he look like? Where does he work? Start life scripting. And for me, it really helped because it start helping me align the life that I have now with the life that I want to have. Because of course there's certain things that I can't get until I make it to certain heights, right? I can't move to certain neighborhoods probably. I can't drive certain cars, but I can change the time that I wake up. I can change my diet a bit. I can change the books I read, right? There's certain things I can change. And so that's what I want you to understand. To stop these limiting beliefs, you have to first realize what they are and then get into the habit of replacing them inside of your life, inside of your mind, and scheduling them in. Like I had to start scheduling in, this time I'm doing this time of the day I'm doing that. This, like I said, waking up, going to sleep, that was a big thing for me. That's when I really realized that my life was changing, when my schedule started changing. Like when I started waking up at a certain time, going to sleep at a certain time, because it showed me I'm being more intentional. That's the whole thing I've learned about life. It's being intentional about the things that I'm doing. And I have to change my thoughts. I have to change my beliefs, because the beliefs that I had before didn't get me anywhere. And I want to tell you, I say it in all my videos because I'm going through it right now. It is so scary. It is so hard, but it's so worth it. Like, I know that sounds so wee or hoopla or whatever, but like, it is. Like, there's so many things that are going to change in your life, and there's so many possibilities that you have for your life. And honestly, if we were in 12 months ago, 1 year ago, I would not be talking like this. Like, because the experiences that I've had, and it's not even on some grand scale of I've been so many places and did so many things. No, but the experiences I've had with myself once I stopped my limits and beliefs and recognized where they were. And I want you to understand, you have to knock them all down. One by one, though. Do not try to knock them all at the same time like a bowling lane. No. If you have a limited belief about relationships, okay, you need to get better at relationships. You have a limited belief about money, better at money. Do one by one and do it. And I tell you, it also shows you where you are at fault. Like, one thing for me, I had a limited belief about relationships, about men. And I had this idea of how men were, whatever, whatever. But then when I start getting to the clarity of it, I realized the root of it was I've never seen a healthy relationship. I mean, besides my grandparents, but like, they're older. Like, I'm sorry, I love you to death, but besides that, I've never seen a healthy relationship. I've actually seen more abusive relationships, whether it was mentally, physically, financially, than I've seen healthy relationships. And so I realized that's why it's hard for me in relationships. Maybe I realize it's the kind of men that I choose. I realize it's the kind of things that I deal with, and also how I come into the relationship. But I had to change that limits and belief about men that I had, because the root of it was me. A lot of times our limits and beliefs, the root of it is you. And until you get to the pinpoint of it, you don't realize it. I realized I don't know what a good man would look like if he walks past me. And it's something that's, I don't want to say it's embarrassing to admit, because it's not embarrassing, but when I first realized that, I did feel some way, because I do want to eventually get married. I do want to have kids. I do want to raise, a happy and a healthy household. But I realized I can't do that yet. I don't even know how to properly love a man. So I can't be out here asking a man how to properly love me. So even when it comes to that limiting belief, how to get clarity on things. I know some people are like, okay, but how do I get clarity? That means you need to be reading books. That means possibly watching movies, listening to podcasts. Like, now I'm starting to get into, and it's not a direct correlation, but for me it kind of is, because I never liked anything romance. No romance books, no romance movies, no romance nothing. Now I'm starting to get into romance books. And for me, it's been great. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like the romance books that kind of end the stereotypical way, like in the kind of way you kind of assume they were going to end. Little twist here and there, but that's just me. But it's because that's what my brain needs, because I never thought of really a happy ending. What does that look like for me? What is that? Even though going back to the clarity, I said I wanted it, right? In my limits and belief, but I didn't know what that would look like for me. And even but that comes for so many things when it comes to starting a business. Have you actually taken hours to figure out how to start a business? Now, there's a difference between procrastination and clarity, and you have to figure out the difference for yourself. That's why I usually tell people, give yourself a specific date. I'm going to start my business on this date. So in between this week and this week, it should all be about gaining information. It should all be about getting clarity. The same thing with going to the gym, right? You need to build up. There's no reason why you go to the gym and you don't know what machines to use. We got social media. Figure out machines you're going to use. Figure out how many sets you're going to do. Figure out how long, whatever. So when you go to the gym, you see I'm doing bam, 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 bam. Okay, the reason why you coming home from the gym hungry. No, you need to meal prep. Get clarity on these things. And then, but before you meal prep, you probably got to go on TikTok or YouTube and look up some meal prep ideas. Yes, that's okay. But at the same time, stop going into things like, I don't know how to meal prep, and I don't know what machines to use, and I don't know how to lose weight, and I don't know how to start a business. when we have so much information out there to do it? Stop having that limiting belief that you can't. That's what you're telling yourself. I can't do this. I can't. You can. You can. You just got to believe that you can and change your mindset, reframe it. I don't know how to do this thing. Okay, I don't have enough knowledge. Okay, let's gain that. Let's go after that. What's that going to require? Does that require you going back to school? Does that require you taking online courses? Does that require you watching hours worth of Figure out the requirements to what you have to do and align your life with those. That's what you need to align your life with to get out of your limited belief. But I want you to understand, it goes back to what I said. You got to think like that person. You have to constantly pour yourself in. I say it all the time. I only Monday through Friday use a Instagram account that I follow people that I look up to. I constantly am putting in my mind the possibilities. I'm getting rid of the limiting beliefs. Because like I told you earlier, it's not gonna go away because you get that body, because you get that money. We hear all the time people say they lose. Most of the people who lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time gain that weight back within a year or like 18 months plus some. Like, this is not a thing that's like, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but we don't think about it like that. Why? Because you never changed your belief. You just wanted to lose weight. You didn't want a healthier lifestyle. You just wanted to make money. You didn't want to actually find a business or find something that gives you life that you enjoy. And so you got that thing, but now you don't know how to maintain it because that never was the goal of maintaining it. So that's what I realized with my limits and beliefs. There are things that are going to happen for the rest of my life. There's never an ending, a cut, no more limits and beliefs. They're going to happen, but it's about you having the right mindset, having the right framework to actually achieve these things so that you can get what you want out of this thing called life. Because there's so many possibilities that there's out there for you that you have. But if you have this limiting belief, you're never going to get them. You're going to always be focused on this little area when there's all this out here for you. And I want you to understand your mind is always going to do what it thinks you want it to do. So, for example, if you say, oh, I don't want to go to work. Oh, I don't want to go to work. Your mind is going to make your body tired. That's why a lot of times before you don't want to do something, it literally feels like your body doesn't want to do it. Your body kind of just does what it thinks you want it to do. I said that wrong in the beginning. Your body thinks what it wants the mind to do. So if you say, I don't want to go to work, all of a sudden now you feel nauseous before work. Now you got cramps. And you're like, why is this? Confirmation bias. It's your mind, it's your body confirming what you're thinking. So I even had to reframe a lot of the times with the things that I say once I realized, oh, wait, my body, my brain is going to make this connect. If I say I don't want to go to the gym, I'm going to be exhausted before I go to the gym. I'm going to have a headache. You start noticing that. You get these bad feelings towards these things. Even if you go to the store, oh, I'm not going to find a pink dress. You end up not finding a pink dress and somebody else like, oh, this is so cute, this pink dress. And you're like, I didn't even see that. Why? Because you had a confirmation bias that you weren't going to find a pink dress. So start speaking to yourself with the life that you want, like the person that you want to get the things that you want. Because your body is only going to respond to how it thinks you want it to think. And so it's going to make you tired. It's going to make you drowsy. It's going to make you all these things because you told it to. Like, it's kind of like a genie in a bottle. You know how they say rub the genie and they say be careful because the genie might give you what you want but not how you want it. You might say, oh, I want to be rich, and then it'll make you into like an old fat rich white man, and you be like, oh, but that I want it. Like, you have to be very specific and intentional. You have to do the same thing with your beliefs because your body is going to give you what it thinks that you want because you told it that, right? And I want you to understand, if you do not believe, the reason why limiting beliefs are so detrimental is because if you do not believe you cannot do something, you will never do it. If you do not believe you can never make more money, you will never make money. If you don't believe you can do something, you will never achieve that thing. And I want you to understand, the world does not care about your limits and beliefs. The world does not care about what you're going through. The world does not care about you. A great example of this, I don't want to say a sad example of this, is the job that I work at now. I talk to a lot of older senior citizens on the phone. And I was talking to this lady, and she was telling me how she recently broke her hip. If you're not familiar with breaking your hip, it is horrible. You can't walk, you can't use the bathroom, you can't do a lot of stuff. And they put her in a nursing home. She's been in there for about a couple weeks to a month, and they told her literally, you have 1.5 weeks left in a nursing home. Either you have to pay us a certain amount, which she didn't have because the hospital kind of just put her in this nursing home. I don't know her living situation before. And then they said you have a couple weeks to live here, or you're You have to leave. And so she was like, I don't have money to leave. Like, I don't have no way to leave. I don't have nowhere to go. I don't really have family to help me. Da, da, da. You know what they gave that lady? Numbers to shelters. This is a senior citizen that just broke her hip, and they gave her numbers to shelters to call. Imagine being in a shelter is a lot regardless, but imagine being in there, especially because it's about to become cold soon, with a broken hip as a senior citizen. This lady was telling me that she's like, I really don't even want to live no more. Because I don't want to go through that. Like, I can't imagine going. She was like, and I don't have nothing else to do. I don't have nowhere else to go. And I felt so bad for her. And I want you to understand that's unfortunately the world. They do not care that you cannot afford something. They do not care that you can't do something. They're going to do the same thing they did to her. Here goes some shelters. Here goes some, we can't help you. You ain't got the money. You ain't got this. We can't help you. So right now, while you can, get rid of those limiting beliefs. Do not feel like I can't make more money. I can't achieve my goal. Because I promise you, at the end of the day, you ain't going to be able to get what you want to get. And nobody's going to care that it came from this trauma that you were a child. Nobody's going to care that it came from this situation that you went through. It's unfortunate that we all go through things and we can't all accommodate each other. So you have to accommodate yourself. You have to get out of these limited beliefs. You have to get out of these beliefs that you can't do something, because I promise you, at the end of life, at the end of the road, not only are you going to wish that you would have at least tried to do these things, at least attempted to do these things, but you're also going to see the result of it. You're going to sometimes, a lot of people end up struggling, whether it's mentally, financially, in so many ways. And it could have been prevented, unfortunately, if they would have made a difference. And I'm not specifically even speaking upon her situation, because I don't know everything that goes into it. But a lot of people I know, especially older, it's because of choices that they made, limitations that they had in their life, that they couldn't move to a different neighborhood. They couldn't do this different because everybody around them does this. And then they can't do that because they went through this and they didn't grow up in this neighborhood. Okay. And the world is going to chew you up and spit you out because of those limiting beliefs. But if you have abundance mindset, you don't have a limit. You can do anything you want to do. You can create a life you want to live. I realize that the less limits I have on my life, the more I pick my life. I pick where I want to live. I pick where I want to go. I pick these things. And if you want to have a life where you don't have to be so dependent on others, where you can live the life that and I'm not saying my life is perfect. Disclaimer. But I'm going in the direction of the woman that I'm going to be, the woman that I'm becoming. And like I said, this is a lifelong thing. This is not just going to stop one day. But I know there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to be right on track. Right now, I'm trying to get on track. But one day I'm going to be right on track. And then it's just about continuing that process. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me if you like this one. I kind of like this one, the limits and belief videos. I don't know. I've just been thinking about it lately, and I feel like it affects a lot of people. And don't forget to check back for new videos every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank y'all so much, and have a great one.